United, together, here we stand. Sumana, Ashley, Felipe, your workplace wellness hour band, where culture meets health and wisdom takes hold. Fresh perspectives and insights unfold, building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead, a workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth in the frame. Works puts growth in the frame. Mental clarity, physical strength, financial insight, tools and strategies that get it right. Real stories, real growth, real change that lasts. Practical guidance that moves you fast. Workplace wellness hour brings substance and spark. Together we flourish, together we make our mark. Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead, a workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth in the frame. That works puts growth in the frame. So mark your calendar, answer the call. Workplace wellness, practical magic for all.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Workplace Wellness Hour. It is Monday, November 24th, 2025, and I'm here with my co-host Sumana Jetty. I am Felipe Cofino, and so happy to see you all here already. Great to see Jackie Hallberg and Christy watching from Florida. Always love it. Listen, today's topic is going to be something that I think is very relevant because it's about staying relevant. And so I think there's something that we all have a little bit of a FOBO, fear of being obsolete. And I think that's something that is been around for many decades because it's not anything new. But AI's kind of sped it up a little bit. So I'm looking forward to having this discussion with you, Samana. But Samana, how are you and how have you been?
I am well. I'm always delighted to be here. I have less anxiety when I'm doing LinkedIn Live with you in my corner. When I do it by myself, I seem to always do something to mess it up. So I think I need you. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm not doing another LinkedIn Live if you're not there.
Well, I feel very honored that you feel that way, but I will say that Sumana has got some bad LinkedIn juju in the past. When we used to do audio rooms, LinkedIn kicked her out like on a regular basis. It was like almost personal. Like we were like, LinkedIn, stop doing this to Sumana. We actually had one tag LinkedIn and saying, please help fix this issue. So, uh,
Agreed. I think it's just a lot of just also this year end, getting close to the end of the year, and just I think overall my anxiety has just been high with just a lot of other things, and um, y- I- we talk about this so much, Felipe, and sometimes we're the worst because we don't take our own advice, and I literally felt that happening is like, hey, you don't have capacity, you're a capable human who can log on to Restream and figure out how to stream an event, but I think capacity was so low that I should have just asked for help and maybe hired someone to just do production for me. So lesson learned. And again, we preach this, and sometimes it's like a micro error that leads to yeah, that recovery, I kid you not, when I logged out of LinkedIn on Wednesday, I couldn't log back in until this morning. Like I was like, I cannot face LinkedIn right now. I was so just sad and just feeling a little disappointed that, you put so much effort into bringing people together, especially my ambassadors who I love so much and they're so great. But I got to listen to their um their conversation from Wednesday, and they're just so sweet and smart, and I'm like, "Oh man, I wish we could have done better." So anyways, I'll just leave it there. Happy that you're here supporting this, and the production is it's a lot of work. So I do want to thank you for your continuous support and effort, and all the individuals who come, our community that comes every other Monday night. This is all thanks to you, Felipe. I know this is a lot of work, and I know you have
Making
so
me
much
blush,
going on.
Sumana. I, I appreciate that. No, thank you for saying that. That's very kind of you. But I'm always learning, and I will say, Chasen, who's down in the audience, and another person, Aaron Gibson. These are two master producers in my mind because they do stuff before, during, and after that is just like, how do you are able to do this? And I'm always inspiring to learn from them. So for me, it's a learning process. And like we always say to people, it's not about the mistake you made; it's about what we learned from it, right?
Got it. I have a lessons learned SOP that I created, and I was debriefing with Jason because we're doing an event, not an event, but a workshop for Florida International University tomorrow for student well-being, and I debriefed with him, and I said, you know what, that recovery component and the lessons learned sometimes just comes from sitting in that for a little bit, and then I went to the gym, cleared my head. It took a few days, so don't underestimate the amount of time it takes for you to go, just learn your lesson and feel okay with it. And don't be, I didn't feel sad that I was on LinkedIn for 3 or 4 days. I'm like, you know what? It's fine. When I come back, everyone's going to be there. We're going to have a great show on Monday, and I'll be in better spirits, and we'll talk about AI. And I texted you, Felipe, because I wanted to talk about this topic as I randomly came across it. And I was like, ooh, this will be fun. Fear of becoming obsolete, because AI is here. It's where we use it. I use it all the time, and definitely not at the capacity that I can or want to. But there is this fear of all the skills that are being lost, and I'm also keeping up with a lot of current trends on how the workforce is changing and what skills we need in 2026. I had made a video 3 years ago and saying, hey, these are the skills you need for 2025. That was 3 years ago. And now it's the end of 2025. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, we need better skills now, and skills that can help complement the AI as a tool. But also being aware that some jobs may become obsolete, and what would that look like? So that's the conversation that I am so happy that you want to have with me, and so happy that everyone's here joining us.
Well, thank you first of all because Sumana is like the trend finder. She is this whole entire. We're in season 4. This show started 4 years ago because Sumana said, "Hey, have you heard about quiet quitting?" And I'm like, "What's that?" And then that's all it took. And then I started our first show. And so when she sent me a message, "Hey, there's this thing, a trend going on about FOBO," and if I get a message from Sumana and I don't know what it is, I automatically say I'm in because it's probably something that's trending, that's relevant, and if I haven't heard of it, then it probably is even more relevant. So she's welcome out there. So I appreciate you for all that. And you're right, this year has been insane. But before we get into this year, I want to welcome Chasen forehand for being here, who's just amazing with all the work he does for his nonprofit. And I have got to reply back to your email, Jason. Chasen, I have not forgotten. Peter, it's great to see you as always. We have to do another Friday night get together with our crew. We haven't done that, which includes our friend Mike, who's right there. Great to see you, Mike. And Scott, thank you for coming as well. And we have, I think, oh, and our friend Nick. It's always wonderful to see Nick. And Marcia Lee. Marcia Lee, who is our first and ultimate guest fan of the show from day one. And Charito, it's always wonderful to see you. So thank you for joining us. But Swana, you're right. This year has been insane. This has been, I mean, the beginning of the year, we started off with a lot of changes. We started off with, government closures of different government facilities like USAID and a lot of job losses. Then we went to lots of layoffs. Then we went to AI exploding even more. Then we went to a government shutdown. And then whatever else you may have had happening personally in your life. Okay. That's the thing that's been so insane. Hey, Christine, great to see you. And I think that's one of those things where it can feel overwhelming. And adding AI going as fast as it is, I mean, it's moving at Mach speed, y'all. It's not slowing down, and it's easy to feel like that fear of becoming obsolete. Now, I will say I've had this fear since I was in the 20s. I don't know about you, Sumana, but for me, I remember my first director, and she had to be maybe in her mid 30s at the time, and I was in my mid 20s. And she came in and we're doing something, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know how to do that anymore. I haven't done that in like 2 years. So I forgot how to do that." And she kept on saying that all the time. "Oh, I don't know how to do that anymore. You do it." "Oh, I forgot how to do that." And I remember thinking, I don't ever want to become so obsolete like that. I didn't use the word obsolete, but so unneeded because I didn't know how to do anything. And that stuck in my head because I didn't care if I was a director, a vice president, whatever my title was, I didn't ever want to have a role where I can sit down and recruit for a job or fix someone's benefits or take care of a coaching counseling problem or whatever it may be. I wanted to make sure that I was still relevant because I felt like in order to be that in a role, you got to understand it fully. And here we are today. And the 5 skills that AI really has a hard time mastering because they have not really invested in growing in these areas are things like compassion, creativity, um, communication. These are just some of the things that AI has not really invested in. That as humans, we can still develop these skills so that we don't become obsolete. But the other part of it is we got to jump on the bandwagon at some point because this is not a trend. This is not a trend of like calling something by a neat name or a new great TikTok video to start doing or a song. This is really affecting all our lives, medical, physical, professionally, personally. Is coming to play. Our children are going to be in an AI world. So I think it's important for us to talk about it, Sumana.
Mhm.
Your initial thoughts before we dive into some of the my Felipe's five and your Sumana science.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I know we're waiting. Ashley, folks, Ashley will join us. I think she's just running a little late, so hopefully she'll pop in when she's able to. The reason also, Felipe, that I wanted to talk about this is because I've had so many conversations, and even here in Canada, a lot of the things you're saying that's happening in the United States, we're also seeing that here. As soon as school started in September, there was a teacher strike that went on in Alberta for weeks and weeks, so kids were not able to go to school. Right after that, there were so many layoffs because our healthcare structure is being dismantled. And then right after that, well, this Saturday, I think our nurses were going to go on strike, but I think they've been able to negotiate some kind of a deal. So that's on pause right now. So what I'm seeing and hearing from a lot of people is anxiety, stress. Am I going to leave my job? And not to mention the government of Alberta well, has a new return to the office mandate. So now there's no more hybrid work policy. They're following, a lot of the other organizations that are doing this. So every time I talk to professionals, either senior executives, younger people, people my age, I hear this stress and anxiety in their voice. But then there's also like technological stress, and we've been having so many conversations within even my friend group where we're like, yeah, we love the AI and we love the technology, we love all this stuff that's happening, but there's this feeling of like it's too rapid, and there's this feeling of there's too much digital overload. And you and I were talking about social media as well, and just feeling like there's just a lot. The technological stress is overwhelming on top of your regular work life stress. So this is something new that we have to navigate. And let's be honest, folks, I think this is just going to be there for some time as we ride this AI wave. We're just going to have to learn to adapt this new technological stress. So I think I just wanted to just remind people that it's okay if you're feeling overwhelmed by AI tools, constant updates, and even social media. Like, I mean, I don't even know what's real anymore. I don't even know if the cat videos I used to love watching, I'm like, is this even real? And so now I'm almost scared to like go on like the passive detachment, that I would love to go watch some funny videos, like, pet videos and pet talk. I'm like, I don't even know if this is real now. So I'm resisting. I'm pulling back from all the things that used to make me fun, and leaning towards more. And Felipe, you said it, leaning towards more of those human skills. I'm like, I think I just want to talk to a real person. Like, I don't know if I'm talking to a robot. Like, that's enough. I tell Chat GPT enough of my personal life. I want to talk to a real person now. So I just want to remind folks that it's okay if you feel that way, because guess what? I'm feeling that way. And a lot of the people I'm talking to are feeling that way. And there's this feeling of frustration, fatigue, but also like, gosh, if I don't keep up, am I going to be left behind? Like, do I need to be in this race, or is this, can I just scale back and just be an observer? I don't know what your thoughts are about that, Felipe. Do you feel that way? Like,
I mean, I personally don't think I feel that way. I think I've always did not want to fall behind. I think I've always had that drive in me for some reason, and I'm sure my psychologist could go into my head and try to figure that out one day. But right now, I do think that it's one of those things where are you still using a landline and refuse to get a mobile phone? If you're that person and you're happy with your landline and not having access to any kind of mobile device, that's fine. But the rest of the world's moving on, and they're living by using their mobile device as a tool to order food, to purchase, to contact, to communicate, to locate. So AI is going to be another thing. Now, I think there's going to be a balance eventually. There has to be a balance because think about it. Most of us probably have this feeling. I know I have it where there are days where I'm like, zero, I want a representative, I want a human, I want a human. And there are days where I don't want to talk to anybody. Let me just hit one, let me hit three, and just tell me what my damn freaking balance is. I don't want you to sell me anything. I don't want you to cross sell me anything. I don't want you to thank me for my service and ask me to take a survey. I just want to know what my balance is. So I think there's times when we feel that we want one or the other. And I think eventually in the future, we're going to have a balance. But let's do this before I'm going to put in the link in the chat shortly. Swan and I have a different style of doing Flippy's 5. I want to try one at a time again because I think this could be a little bit shorter and they're just very quick kind of things. But I think we'll be able to go through them fairly quickly. So we'll see. But welcome to who else joined us here? I feel like someone else. Oh, Bernardo from Uruguay. Gracias, mi amigo. It's great to see you. And we also had, I think, someone else. Oh, Deb Haas. Great to see you. And Stephen Eng. Great to see you as well. So thank you all for joining us. Please repost a room to your network. Let them know that we're going on live, especially if you think that this is somebody that would benefit from this topic or this discussion. We'd love to have them be here during the live discussion to be able to join us on stage or ask questions. So, all right, let's go to Footbase 5 because it is about always staying relevant during challenging times. And God knows it has been a challenging year. So the first one I have, we talked about this already, FOBO and tech stress. We're not going to belabor this. We know that FOBO stands for fear of being obsolete, and the AI and tech stress has added to that. So let's just skip to number 2, Sumana. Number 2 is change fatigue. So I think this is something that we can both relate to a lot because this happens to a lot of people. And when you have change fatigue, it really can affect your confidence, your focus, your performance. So watching for signs and prioritizing changes, things like that can help you. But I do think that with any change, when you fight it, it's almost you're spending so much more energy than asking and learning about it, understanding why the change is happening, and choosing to be optimistic so that you can handle the stresses and those challenges a little bit better. But what are your thoughts about change fatigue? I know that you probably have some thoughts on this, Sumana.
yeah, no, I love this one, and it looks like we we did talk about the first one before we even went to your Felipe's 5. Apologies, Felipe. Yeah, no,
Oh, so that was
change.
perfect, actually.
That, yeah, thank you. No, I appreciate that. Um, I think the only comment I'll make here for this one is what, and folks who are listening can jump in the chat here, but do you have systems to identify your change fatigue, and to be able to categorize that change fatigue as like, this is just my, warning, or this is just yellow, or is this getting to like the critical sort of red zone. Having some kind of a system, because I think we can all say, yeah, I think I have some kind of change fatigue, but where does that lie? So I think there's two questions here. Maybe just doing a bit of self-awareness to identify, like, where is this change fatigue coming from? Is it from my work? Is it from a specific project? Is it from social media? And number two, to have some kind of a system within yourself to identify if this is manageable, I'm still kind of in this yellow zone, or am I kind of moving towards orange, or am I moving towards that red critical zone? And then for each of those levels, to have different strategies, because my brain immediately goes towards health and well-being, and immediately goes towards like, well, how much change is good and how much is too much, and each of us are going to have a different capacity to deal with that. So just create some systems and strategies for yourself. I know that for this question, if I were to journal about it, I would know exactly where my pain points are and what I would need to eliminate or change in order to feel better. So, from the perspective of burnout and just health and well-being and things that don't cause you stress and anxiety, you need to have a system for yourself to recognize, like, what is causing me illness versus what is causing me wellness. I'll just
I
stop there.
love, and I think that you nailed great reasons as to why it happens, and some great examples of what you can do. I mean, watching for the signs obviously is key, but prioritizing the change is, like she said, too much change can be bad, and it can just overwhelm you. So prioritizing and saying, okay, I'm going to deal with this next week, next month, whatever that is, if you can push it off, obviously, because you need that stability, and it's important for you to ask clarity if you need it, because a lot of times the stress from change is not understanding or knowing why the change happened. That's why leaders need to be transparent. This is why we're doing this. This is going to be the benefits of it. This is what the future will look like. When you paint that picture, it diffuses a lot of that anxiety. So, all right, next one, real quick here is staying ahead without burning out, which I feel like is definitely in your wheelhouse as well, Sumana. Um, you know, we talk about upskilling a lot here, and when you're staying ahead, people are trying to upskill, but it shouldn't exhaust you. Okay, you got to find that balance and be able to stay. I mean, like for me with AI, one of the things that motivates me to stay ahead is because, well, employees started using it. We need to create some boundaries around what can they do at work and what can they put on into ChatGPT. We need to create some policies, and then we decide, okay, well, let's train them on how to best use it and how to use it in a way that is considered allowed or not perceived negatively. Um, and one of the things I want to remind people, and I meant to mention this earlier, and I apologize for pivoting here, but think about this. People say, "Oh, AI is fake. It's not real, and this and that." We've dealt with this before. I was watching a video not a lot, today actually, and it was, I think, even like a music type of video, and the woman was singing, and all of a sudden the woman started like flipping along the table and doing all these somersaults. And I'm like, is that really the singer? Is that AI, or is that a stunt double? And then I thought about it. Stunt doubles don't bother us. Lip syncing, that bothers us unless we know that they're doing lip syncing. But there has been ways of recreating or faking it or making it look like it's real in our lives already. So if that's your big barrier, I just want to remind you, did you stop watching movies because they had stunt doubles and it wasn't the actor doing the actual stunt? Probably not. So I just wanted to remind that. But so with the setting the boundaries, I'm sorry, with practical ways of staying ahead, I think the only thing I want to say is I think boundaries and upskilling are important, but the boundaries are applying to yourself. Make sure
Mhm.
you don't violate your own boundaries. We're the worst ones. We're like, oh, I said I wasn't going to do this, but let me do it for them one more time. No, you got to stop that. If you set a boundary, you got to stick to it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll add two comments to this one. And I think this is basically kind of the majority of what I wanted to talk about, Felipe. When it comes to, I don't know what it is, but like lately I've just become very systematic in the yeses and the nos. of the way the processes are. I think process is becoming very important to me, and in many ways, AI has been very helpful in reducing some of that fatigue when it comes to developing process. And when it comes to boundaries, it's very similar. If you can develop some kind of, especially for us, oh my god, we're so good at saying yes to everything. If there's a way that you can develop some kind of a process, and please use AI to help you as a tool to create a flow chart. For example, for this scenario, or these are the types of scenarios I get asked a lot of. And for example, I get asked to speak at a lot of these panel events. I just spoke at one today, but I have to strategically choose how many of those I can do, because an hour of my time, it's not just the hour of that panel time. It's the prep, it's the emails, it's the coordination, etc. All of that. So it's not an hour, it ends up becoming 5 hours of your time in total. So I had a process where I have to decide how many, and this is in the beginning of the year, I decided how many of these volunteer panel events will I do. And if that number is five, then I'm only allowed to do five. And if I run through those five before spring, then I'm done. I can't do any more until the end of the year. So have some metrics for yourselves, just like we would have metrics and KPIs when you do your job. Have some of those own deliverables for yourself to say, these are the number of events I will do, these are the number of yeses or family events I would go to, and have some kind of a logic model to help you with that. And AI would be a great tool for that. To kind of go back to staying ahead without burning out. Yes, we have talked a lot about upskilling. And a week or so ago, I had posted 7 more new skills that had come up in a book that was published earlier last and towards the end of last year. And there's some new terms, and we've also heard reskilling as a term, but there's some new terms like side skilling, cross skilling, multi skilling. And two of these, I'll just talk about two of these for this moment. Which I've seen in workplaces, and they work wonders to preventing burnout, not just for yourself, but also within your team. And that is cross skilling. If you can broaden your expertise across your teams and allow your teams to have a collaborative like space, and just like a different type of give them versatility when it comes to developing those skills, that would be so helpful in not only developing contingencies when there's a lot of workload, but also you now have 10 other skills you've added. So I've seen this a lot in organizations where they've added to their performance evaluation to say, hey, I would like you to, for example, pick up facilitation as a skill. So every employee has to facilitate at least one course a year as a way to cross skill, so that if the facilitation team ever needs someone to support them, one of you can do that. And it's such a great way to kind of enhance your team's skills, but also it prevents that burnout between teams, and you start to it's a win-win in my opinion. And the other one that I also want to just quickly talk about, Felipe, is side skilling, which you had mentioned earlier, is some of those human skills. So in addition to using AI, adding some complementary human skills, like the ones you mentioned, like emotional intelligence or creativity or whatever, communication, adding some of those, storytelling. Oh, good Lord. If you can learn storytelling as a skill, as a side skill, and use that when you're doing events like this, when you're doing workshops, it really just adds that complementary human touch to complex presentations, or like a board meeting, or like whatever you're planning to do in your work environment. So just kind of wanted to mention that both I have seen both of these in action over the last few months, and I'm just like, wow, this is so cool to see research come out and then organizations actually do both of these to improve like team performance and workplace well-being. So just wanted to share that this helps not just you as a person, but it also helps your teams.
That's perfect. I love that. And and actually I already tapped into the next one real quick. But one thing I want to remind people is, with AI can be used to help you, and it can really help you stay ahead. But you've got to be your own boss in it. And I have my book that I'm my second book that I'm writing right now. I got a training job that I got a job for. I got my podcast, I got the lives, I got my full-time job, I got my family. But a lot of times we forget about yourself. And I gotta make time for me too. And that's important when you're staying ahead without burning out. You gotta actually schedule time for yourself. All right, let's go to the next one real quick here. Um, build job security. Okay, now with this one here, we talked a lot about in the beginning about jobs being replaced, and AI right now is not going away. And one of the things that, as a recruiter, I'm looking at is I'm looking out: are they AI compliant or not compliant? Are they AI knowledgeable? Do they have AI as a skill on the resume? Just like they would have Microsoft Office, Excel, Word. Are they going to have that on there? Because that's starting to become an expectation of the job. And if you aren't playing around with AI right now, start playing with it. It's not too late. There are so many people that are not even near the harbor, and there's some people that are on the boat that already left, and there's some people that are still boarding the boat. So you have a lot of time and do it when you're ready, but it is going to build job security if you learn about it. Because I started learning about it because I had to write policies, it made me learn about it. My book that I wrote for the children's book, I used AI for it. I had an employee who's retiring. I found out that she likes the Allman Brothers growing up. I did a farewell video of old pictures of her from the company to a song I used on Suno that talks about her. And I used AI to fill in some images. And my boss is like, wait, the song says our company name and her name. What song is this? I'm like, well, we used AI to create it. And she was so impressed with that. So what I'm telling you that is that if you even playing around with it and doing something fun for the company or something fun for a celebratory thing, it shows that, hey, you've got some skills here and you're developing them. You're not afraid of using it. So when we need somebody, guess what? I might reach out to you, which goes to what Sumana was saying earlier when she mentioned about the cross skilling. Um, I just finished creating a skills matrix for my team. I had a one on one with every single team member last month. And one of the questions I asked at the end of the one on one was, hey, what are the top three skills that you think you really have that are the strongest? And then I added a list of all those skills, and then I sent it out to the rest of the organization. I said, okay, now tell me what skills are missing from these people. Meaning, like, oh, well, Sumana didn't mention that she's great with data science, and she didn't mention she's great with public speaking. So I'm going to check off those skills for her. And that from that master skill sheet, you're going to be reach out to people. Yeah, the skill sheet. Yeah, the skill sheet. You're gonna be able to reach out to people to say, "Hey, I have this project I'm working on. I know you have the skill. Can you help?" And even if you don't have it fully developed skill, you're not a specialist in it. They they're giving you the opportunity to grow on it. So it is something that if you start introducing AI into different ways of how you can use it at work, and even small little things, it's going to start building that job security of you being a future focused person. Shimana, before I say anything else and slip up, I'm going to hand it over to you. I will say one thing about the slip up. God bless my wonderful aunt who was a piano teacher for many years. She could not say, she'd always say, here's a piece of paper with the music on it. She couldn't say sheet of music because the word sheet would come out like what I just said. So over to you.
I'm sure that's totally fine, and our audience and our community, they love us, especially you, so much that I'm sure like a little slip up like that is okay. Um, I love the skills matrix. I think the fact that you do it with your team, and especially now in Q4 when we're like all starting to feel like we need to wrap up our projects, and decide what do we want to do for 2026. When the vibe right now feels a little just blah. I think a lot of us are still just not as. I mean, from what I can see from the people that I've been talking to, Gen Z is not being able to find jobs quickly, and there's just been such a huge unemployment problem here in Canada that I know a lot of people aren't as excited about the new year as they'd like to be, but the skills matrix is such a good tool for folks to use. In addition to that, I think the only other thing I'll add to build job security is to do this analysis for yourself, because I think I just did this myself, Felipe, and I created a learning and development plan. And I said, by the time the year comes to an end, before December 15th, I decided that I'm going to take a few micro credential just some mini courses through LinkedIn Learning, through Coursera, and just a few other ones that I've selected. And they're very low investment. But I said to myself that by the end of the year, before the end of the middle of December, I want to develop in these skills. So one strategy I would add to build job securities, if you're trying to enhance your portfolio and you want to add that, hey, I have AI, I have competence in AI, pick up a course, get that micro credential in. You don't have to go to another master's program or do something very whether the effort is high, the reward is really delayed. Do something quick and get that micro credential on your LinkedIn profile, on your resume. I'm not a recruiter, so don't take, I'm not saying it from that perspective. I'm just saying it from the perspective of I've seen this work, and it'll be so great to just have this for yourself as you're learning and developing. And so yeah, just create develop a plan and just create a few competencies that you want to learn and develop, whether it's for the end of the year or if it's in building into the new year. And trust me, your portfolio will look so good, even if it is like, hey, I'm really good at production and doing LinkedIn lives and using AI as a tool. I think the newer, and Felipe, you can correct me, but I think the newer HR systems are looking for some keywords. I know some of it is automated. I know some of it is human, but I think they need to see that you can do it. So even adding a project that you've done, if you're doing internships or doing these types of events, adding that in your resume would really just spotlight that you know how to use the tool. So I'll just stop there.
And look, if you're over 40, you're probably thinking, oh, are people thinking that I'm too old for my job? That's where it starts creeping in after 40. And guess what? If you have AI on there, it's going to send a message that no, you're still staying relevant by learning things. Not only that, and I want to say it was Deb Haas who put in there a comment about females are more resistant to AI than males, and she had a comment in there about females' work ethic. But I wanted to share a stat that there is a stat out there that females ages 18 to 34 are the group that are the most resistant to AI. And it's not for the reason why you think. It's actually more around the harm that it could do to the environment and their concerns around it. So it's interesting that the older generations have adapted to it much more and are much more open to it than some of the younger generations. But also, I will say this with AI, just if you haven't touched it yet, if you haven't played around with it yet, just dip your toe in it. No one's asking you to dive full in and drink the Kool-Aid. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is get familiar with it, because if people are using it to find you, you should start using it to find jobs or clients or opportunities or recipes even. My wife said, oh, there's this recipe I saw on TV. It was about this. It had like these five ingredients. I can't remember it. I go, ChatGPT it. Say you saw it on the Today Show, boom, 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 and there it was. All right, real quick before we get to our next guest, our last topic here is mindset matters more than technology. That seems very logical, I think, but the reality is that at the core of having that fear of being obsolete is how you think. So adopting that mindset, once you start learning AI and start realizing how you can use it in your life, then you can start feeling less anxious about it. You can start feeling, okay, I get it. I may not like it for certain things, and that's okay, but I understand it. It's like if you don't even understand what it is, that's the part that you should be knowledgeable. Knowledge can be powerful, so you want to make sure that you're having that, but it's also having that growth mindset. Times are not going to stop changing, you all. So we have to have that ongoing future learner or forever learner or growth mindset, and look at technology as a partner, not as a criminal. It's not your enemy. Look at it as a partner, as a tool. Focus on those human strengths you have, because that's going to be what gets you through all this. And reframe those setbacks. Mistakes are part of learning. So, like we said before, learn from them. And as always, I'm going to keep on saying it, choose to be optimistic. All right, Sumana, over to you.
I mean, I love this. A lot of our well-being strategies, they really do come from mindset, right? Why? I think you also have to just double down on those human skills, but ask yourself, why does this matter to me? And I'll tell you, Felipe, as I'm getting older myself, I'm really questioning a lot of what I do with my why. Like, why am I using tech? Why am I on LinkedIn? Why am I spending time on the social media? Or why am I doing this activity? Why am I waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym? How do I manage and seek relationships that are energizing me? How can I remove those relationships that are reducing my energy? Like, why do I bother with some relationships that are not helping me? So I think when we think, it is such a hard thing to do, especially when your brain is offline. When that cortisol kicks in, you're in fight or flight, and your working brain it's offline, and you can't really think. And this is when you have to leverage, tools that are either, I always say, grab a pencil and write things down. And that's literally what I do when I find myself overwhelmed. Is It's like that brain dump. Mel Robbins talks about this a lot. Like, if you find that you're feeling, I don't know how to manage my mind, there's just too much going on with technology, like, just write down and get that brain dump on a piece of paper. And earlier in the discussion, we spoke about boundaries and having those systems of, like, when is critical, is it causing me illness, and what am I doing that is within my domain and it's causing me kind of like wellness. And I'll say one other thing, another practice that I've been using a lot of to keep my mind sharp. But I'll say there's been so many moments where that brain goes offline and you're like, I don't know what to do. And you're just become this potato. And I just want to watch Selling Sunset for like 3 hours. And that's okay. But if I start noticing that patterns happening every other day, there's a problem. So, the only tool I'd say for mindset is reflection. Asking yourself the why, but just like remembering that your approach can be tailored to also where you are in your life right now, and we're all in different stages in our lives. So just be a little graceful when it comes to I to life. And yeah, you know double down on those human skills as much as you can. But we're all so different. I mean, the computer can be running, you can talk to Chat GPT all night long. It'll keep giving you a response and keep trying to find a solution for you. But is your brain able to process all of those things that the robot is telling you? Or at some point you shut down your laptop and say, you know what? I thank you, but I can probably do one of the 30,000 things you've given me to do. So just understanding when you need to kind of like check out, and when you need to like double down on that human side of things. So I'll just stop there. I'd love to hear from you and our speaker on the stage here.
And thank you for sharing that. I think knowing your why is so hugely important, and I think it's important for us to remember that those human characteristics. Somebody sent me a message, was like, "What were those 5 C's?" Just to repeat them again, they are curiosity. I'm sorry, these are the 5 C things that AI currently has not mastered, or are they currently investing time in mastering. It doesn't mean that they don't have some capabilities in this. It's just not, humans still have an edge on this. The 5 C's are this: curiosity, compassion, courage, creativity, and communication. So these are 5 skills that you can really lean on and build on. And here's the bottom line: technology is going to keep on changing fast, but having that fear of being obsolete loses its power when you stay curious, when you take those small steps to learn, when you protect that energy so you don't burn out, and you trust yourself to grow and learn. Your skills and that mindset is that willingness to adapt and be kind of future proof, if you will. I'll say this, and we'll go to Gregory. Is I've shared the 5 things that I say to myself when I'm struggling with something, and I'm going to share them with you all right now. Is when you're having that moment with, especially with AI or feeling obsolete, remember these 5 things. One, be confident in what you know and the experience you have. You should be confident in that because you have a lot to bring to the table. Two, be curious about what you don't know. We have so many tools at our disposal. Be curious. 3, be grateful for what you have. 4, be compassionate to yourself, especially because learning, you're going to make mistakes. And then 5, be tenacious because you've got this and you can overcome it in time. Your own pace, but you can do it. So, with that being said, Gregory, thank you for being patient and thank you for joining us on stage. I know Marcia is right behind you here. Please unmic, and what is your comment or question about this topic? Over to you.
Hey, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, just checking. I would say, Suma, you really hit the nail on the head in regards to the unemployment problem, because I will say that the AI, I say when where we're going into AI is that we have to address that in terms of a industrial slash ethical slash global type of related issue, because I will say that that's going to create a generations, and I mean generations plural, in terms of high unemployment for all um, industrial countries across the globe, because it's going to basically be basically, I will say, your mid-level type of jobs will be basically the new entry level, and those entry level positions will be obsolete. But the thing is that we need to have strong regulations, both industrial and in as well as country regulations in regards to vis-a-vis
And just
from the
speaking
federal
both from a
government,
library and
as well as
have
as well as
just what
because of this nature and stuff. So yeah.
Well, Gregory, thank you for sharing that. Like the unemployment problem is a real issue, and it hasn't been getting better in the U.S. or Canada. And but when it comes to AI, you're right. The entry level jobs, many of them are at risk. But I've been talking to a lot of my colleagues, and from an HR perspective, one thing that has been somewhat of a positive, if you will, out of all that chaos, has been that so often we bring in these educated college grads or these eager young professionals coming in that want to work, and we're having them do menial tasks like, okay, here, type up these minutes, or here, do some filing. Having them come in at a higher level skill and having the menial tasks be taken by AI, I'm a big fan of. But it's where people get greedy and they're like, how can we save money by using AI and cut jobs? That's where becomes ethical, and that's where
Correct,
real.
Felipe. Because could I say one more thing?
Sure.
Because in the same
Okay, please
so,
go ahead quickly because
okay.
we have other people on stage. Please.
Sure. Because in the same country that me and Suma was in, there was a PBO report that stated that in the CRA, which is basically our version of IRS down in the States, that AI contributed to 33% of errors in regards to get access to information. And for humans, it was an 18% error in regards to getting access to information and stuff. So that's why I say that this is a major ethical type of situation, that it could give wrong information to the general public and stuff. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that, I work with a number of academics and PhDs that do a lot of technical writing and grant writing and policy writing. And they were very against this until they heard one of our competitors was using AI for all their drafts. And I said, what's the difference about you editing a draft versus you editing somebody else's draft or your own draft? As long as you are checking it. But people, again, to your point, Gregory, will let the AI version go as the final version. And that's a mistake because there's wrong information in there. There's wrong sources in there. You need to inspect what you expect. So great point there, Gregory. Sumana, comments on Gregory's share? Oh, and please introduce Marcia after that.
Oh, thank you so much, Gregory. I appreciate having another Canadian and who understands the way the economy is unfolding here. I know we only have 10 minutes, so I don't really want to debrief too much. But I did put a couple of comments here in the chat box. Like a couple of weeks ago, the news came out that Calgary's living wage is $26.50 an hour. So if you're not making that an hour, and this is higher than the minimum wage, so if you're not making this, it's survival here is hard. And there's a lot of single individuals who live in the city, and that is this. I've never seen a number like this in my whole life, living in Alberta. So anyways, I appreciate the conversation and the statistics that you shared. Marcia, I'd love to speak with you and have you on stage. FOBO, fear of becoming obsolete, how to beat it. We've been kind of discussing the pros and cons of AI. And if you're experiencing FOBO, if you're not experiencing FOBO, what are your thoughts? Would love to hear from you.
Good day. I'm gonna be very brief. Not really. Felipe, you know what? You got me onto my boyfriend. That's his name now. AI is my boo thing. Yes. Felipe, I remember Felipe, a couple of years ago, you had talked about it and you said, I remember you were at your other location. You were like, well, I needed a marketing report and your marketing team wasn't available and you typed in what you needed and it generated it. And I'm like, hell, excuse me. I said, if he could do that, I can do it too. So Felipe, you the one who really got me piqued my interest. So I started getting on boyfriend, doing different stuff, baby. Boyfriend is it. Matter of fact, so much so I was telling him I'll show my CEO how to use AI to fix that regular report they put out every year. I said, baby, why don't you use boyfriend for this? Get boyfriend to tighten it up. I said, then you'll get more money. We'll get more revenue in. And she looked at me like, what? And I actually showed her what I did, Felipe. And she talking about, well, is it legal? I said, yeah, it's legal because you wrote the content. They just cleaned it up, you know? So anyway, that's a whole nother thing. So I've had conversations with my coworkers, and one of them looked at me like I had lost my mind. I said, girl, you better get with 2025, baby. That's it. That's it. I'm gonna stop right there. That's it. I use it regularly. That's my boo thing. Yes, I use it regularly. So
I love it, and I'm glad that you call it your boo and that you recognize it is AI still, because some people out there have gotten a little bit too close to their AI and talk about it too romantically, let's just say. But Marcia, thank you. First of all, thank you for being just one of the longest time attenders of this show. But for remembering that story, that was like 3 years ago, and it was something that I put it in there and I gave it to my CEO. He's like, show this to marketing, and I showed it to them, and they're like, "Are you replacing us with AI?" I'm like, "No, I'm showing you how you can save time in your job because I didn't hire a marketing team. They thought I hired a marketing team to do this." I'm like, "No, I did it with AI just to format it." So, and I think that that's the thing is play around with it, use it for what you need it for in your life. If you're a cook and a chef, use it for that. If you're a coder, use it for help you with coding. If you're a writer, let it help you with drafting or spelling or formatting. So, Sumana, thoughts?
100% agree. Love that it's your boo thing. I haven't heard that in a minute. I like this comment, whoever the LinkedIn user is, that said, good input, good output, bad input, bad output. So whatever prompts you're giving to help you with grant writing that, Nick, you mentioned, or a marketing report or some analysis, my only caveat here would be like, please read whatever it spits out and give it that human review, check for errors. That is still our job. We have critical thinking skills. We know how to read. We know how to write. Because I've seen a lot of reports come out of AI where it's made errors or it's changed numbers in like the fifth, sixth draft, and all I asked it to do was, check for consistency with punctuation, and then the numbers came back all messed up, and it would have totally looked really bad for one of my clients. So I had to, and now of course the goal is to always look at that report with and evaluate it and make sure that you're reading the material and checking off. I think there still needs to be a human person that checks off and says, I read every page, I read all the data, and the numbers make sense and everything makes sense. So I will keep reinforcing this message of human having that human component to that AI. Maybe my task is reduced significantly, but even a couple of minutes to review that is still better than no review.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Go ahead, Marcia. Go ahead.
And thank you. No, I'm gonna get over. I'm gonna thank you for the 5 C's, and hopefully, Felipe at our next staff meeting, he'll actually let me play this recording.
What recording?
I'm saying let me I'm talking about at our next staff meeting. My supervisor let
Oh,
us
oh,
play
oh,
it
that'd be awesome. Oh my God.
so they can learn, so they can
Right.
actually learn something. And I give it to my CEO. I said, you need to listen and learn. You know that part, cause I'm Queen Patty. All right, thank y'all. Let me get on.
Thank you so much.
You honor us so much. Yeah, thank you. You're amazing. And to Sumana's point, audit, and to Marcia's point, inspect what you expect. Trust but verify. You know, it's you gotta do that. But the other thing, I want you to think about this. When you're writing a prompt for any AI, when for any of you who have used it or are thinking about using it, think about it like you're talking to a teenage child. And what I mean by that is this: when you give it a prompt, be specific. Even ask it, is there any questions you have for me to make sure that you meet my expectations? But be specific, and this is what I mean by talking to a teenage child, because it will spout out stuff for you, and you're like, I didn't ask for that. Well, a teenage response would be, well, you didn't say I couldn't do that. So think about it. If you don't say, don't include this, don't do this, AI is going to do it. Just like a teenage child's like, well, you said I couldn't go out this front door and leave the house, so I left through the window. you know? So again, the more detailed and more specific, but again, also tell it how to act because AI is going to be very agreeable. If you are writing a report for your CEO or no, even better, you're writing a report for your CFO and it's for part of the audit that they're doing and they need this report from your department, have AI say, think like an auditor and CFO and review this and tell me what is missing or what questions you have. And have it play that role of the person to challenge you. Challenge me and poke holes through this and tell me what holes you can find. It is going to only do as much as you tell it. So I encourage you all to do that. Stephen Ang, it is a pleasure and an honor to have you on stage, my friend. It has been way too long. First of all, have you been? And then secondly, please share your insights on this topic. Sorry, Stephen, hold on. There you go. You there?
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I'm here. So, hello everyone. It's been such a long time, but it feels really great to be back. I'm gonna make this quick because I know we're coming up on time. Just speaking from like the library perspective, like I'm not overly worried about AI right now because because at least in the library world, we see it not like as an enemy, but as another resource that can potentially help anyone become more information literate because information literacy is very fundamental to your ability to thrive in society like in general, and that's what we always teach in libraries in general. And if you're just living under a rock and you're information illiterate, like that's going to be exposed if you are rendered obsolete by your employer. So having AI for what it's worth as like as an alternative set of eyes and ears to at least communicate with you and help you evaluate contrasting points of view and biases can at least help you get your feet wet, as you guys were pointing out earlier, and at least get you into the habit of thinking critically and evaluating different sources of information. Because if you don't start now, then when are you going to start? You're not going to raise a generation of literate individuals unless you give them the encouragement and the resources to get them started. And let AI be one of them. So that's my point.
That was an excellent point, Stephen. And I think that's very important because the reality is that, literature, reading, knowledge, learning, these are things that we are still going to need to be relevant. And if we let AI do everything for us versus use AI to help us learn and grow, then we shouldn't be surprised when we get replaced. Um, I will say though, I'm curious if anybody in the chat before I hand it to Sumana, has anyone talked to their Alexa and been disappointed that Alexa did not give you the response that ChatGPT does? Because I've been talking to Alexa, asking her questions that normally I would not ask Alexa because I've been so used to talking to ChatGPT, and Alexa's like, I can't do that. But Sumana, over to you.
No, I loved, Stephen, your comment, and thank you for coming back to our show and being part of this conversation. I mean, I'm on the same side. I think if there's no fear of becoming obsolete, I think that was the conversation here. If we're feeling like we can manage the expectations of using technology as a way to grow and evolve and be better at our jobs and learn some new skills, but at the same time have those literacy skills that we need. What I would hate to see is a world where our younger generation, they don't know how to use a pencil or don't know how to write, and God forbid there's no internet or technology one day. Like, how would they communicate with, like, my nephew? He's a baby. Like, my second nephew is still a baby, but he knows he knows what a phone is. He knows that is where my attention goes to the mobile device, and I need a device to play with, and he knows that that's what I'm going to do. He's so advanced. It's so crazy to see a baby like that grow, but I would love to see, I don't want to see the loss of some skills. Maybe we can talk about this more later on, but I mean, I'd love to see kids and adults be more literate and not lose education. I'm a fan of learning and development, and education is such a big value of mine. That would be my fear. Would be, I hope we don't lose some of those basic skills of learning. That's about it for me.
I think that's a fair fear. And with any technology, we should be cautious. I just don't want people to be so afraid that they avoid it. Because, like I said, this is not just a trend of what people are calling something that's going to change in a decade. This is really going to be integrated in our lives, and we didn't even touch on how industries are using it at such a high level. And again, we act like this is a new thing, but we've been exposed to AI for the past 10 plus years. And I know HR's used it in some cases, but I'll leave you with this. If you have any fear, especially around your job, especially, then do something about it. Because hoping and praying and waiting to see what happens isn't necessarily the solution. Learning and figuring out what could be done with it is going to show that you're staying relevant and adding value to your employer or to future employers. So I encourage you all, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to Sumana and I. We'd be happy to talk to you about this one on one. And Sumana, I can't believe that our next show is our last show of 2025.
I know, folks. Can you imagine? Our next show is our last one for 2025. Just because of the way the calendar is this year. I think we typically get about 2 shows, but this year we're only going to get 1 show in December. So we all need that break. So we don't want to drag this into closer to Christmas. So that is our last show. And Felipe, if you remember the promise we made to our listeners, we said that we were going to bring back the great lock-in conversation and
Right.
keep people accountable. Like, have you been following through with your great lock-in?
All right. So, you know what? I may do a post about, like, no, I don't want to share people's great lock. I may reach out to people and share their great lock-in stories that they share with us and see if they will come back and join us for the holiday event on December 8th. And Sumana and Ashley was with family tonight, so she that was a priority as it should be. And so we are going to actually have a planning meeting in January to really look at how we can just level up this show for you all to make it more valuable for the time that you spend with us and also have better takeaways. So if you have suggestions of what you would like to see us add to the show or add more of, please share it in the comments, share it in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. Sumana, what do you have coming up? Anything else coming up soon, or any last thoughts?
Just one final thing I'll say, and thanks to Nick. I had reached out to Nick on DMs and said, "Hey, do you know anybody who can help me make a digital magazine?" So if some of you had received a message from Hannah, Jetty Wellness is putting together our first digital magazine by hopefully before the 8th of December, and it's going to have all of the things that we're excited or we have done and accomplished over the year, including Workplace Wellness Hour, including some of you amazing people who have contributed to Workplace Wellness Hour. So there's community spotlight, there's events we've done, strategies that have been so powerful. A bunch of different things. I've never done this before, so this is the first time we're launching this just as a way for you to read something cool, not another PDF, but an interactive, technologically advanced as product for you to have a look at. And you might see your face and your photo there. So I'm not sure who we're picking out. We've got our draft ready. A huge thanks to Nick for introducing me to Jen Lynn, who is working on this as we speak. So that's what's coming up. No other events, Felipe. I'm not going live. I'm done. This is it.
Well, I'm actually in the Adirondack Mountains right now with my in-laws, where it's just snow-covered pine trees, and Copper is loving the snow like you would not believe. I'll probably post a photo of it at some point, but he just loves the cold, and I want to enjoy the rest of the holidays with my family up here and down home. So this break is well needed, I think. But we are looking forward to going out with a bang on December 8th with all of you all, and thank you to everyone who joined us. I mean, Tom, Gregory, Kenneth, Sharito, Lisa, Jackie. We had a whole bunch of people. Mike, Deb, all of you. Thank you all for coming. Aaron, we appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you all in 2 weeks. And I do have the Careers Casting Coaching next Sunday with Melissa Houston. And so feel free to join us there at 11 a.m. Eastern. And as always, the Social Saturday Chat crew will be every Saturday at 12 noon. So thank you all for another wonderful Monday. Hope you are staying safe and well. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and hope you all have a great rest of your week.
Bye, everyone. Enjoy your time in the mountains, Felipe. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Sumana. Talk to you soon. Adios, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
United, together, here we stand. Sumana, Ashley, Felipe, your workplace wellness hour band, where culture meets health and wisdom takes hold. Fresh perspectives and insights unfold, building strong the call. Workplace wellness, practical magic for all.